This is going to be an overview of the built-in map making tool in BrainHat Squad. Just a quick overview on how to make a very simple level. So for starts, we're going to click on name map, and we are going to change the name of this map to what shall we call it? We'll call it tower, right? And then we'll hit name map again to stop the so we don't keep editing it. We're going to leave autosave on. This will just periodically save the map. I believe it's every 5 minutes, and this will help us from not losing a partially built map. We're going to keep it in edit mode, and so WASD will scroll us around the map. The mouse wheel will zoom us in and out, and what I will do is we'll take grid off, and we'll turn the grid off. Now you have cycle object here, which will cycle through all the different items. Down here you can place, right? And then we have two basic modes. We have edit mode and place. And place, right, will let us put things down. Edit, when we select those items, will let us either move them around with the arrow keys, or will let us, by right-clicking, delete items. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back to place. And for walls, the easy way to build walls, which we'll start with, is you've got vertical walls, horizontal walls, and then like cornerstones. And the easy way to do it is left click on a cornerstone of one of these wall types, and then go to the map, right click and drag, and you'll see it'll build a grid. Right? Now if you want to be really fast on building rooms, although this will probably hurt you in the long run, is you go to cycle object, go to your floors, and now right click on a floor. Right, so you've got a wall selected with left click, a floor selected with right click, and now you can drag with right click, and you'll see it'll do floors and walls simultaneously. Right. Now in practice, what I tend to do is the walls and floors separately, because if you want to make changes to this room now, you got to delete both floors and walls to get to where you want. Let's go back real quick, and this is going to be a very simple map. We're going to go ahead and get rid of the floor by just right clicking down here. That'll clear that, and we're going to go ahead and right click and make a new, like a connecting hallway. Now we want to clear these out so we can build two doors here, and doors are 4 boxes wide. So we'll go edit, and we'll clear up 4, and we'll clear up 4. We'll go to place. We're going to pick a vertical door and place our 2 vertical doors there. We're going to take the grid off, just it makes it easier to see. This black line here, that is your center point of your map, and we'll get back to that here in a bit. So let's real quick, we're going to place some more floor patterns down. We're going to get rid of the door here by just left clicking down here, and that'll clear it. And we'll pick, we'll just pick some carpet here. We'll go right click and drag, release, and let's pick, yeah, there we go. And we'll go right click, drag, and release. So we have a very basic now 2-room structure. And this is essentially sufficient for a map. One of the things we'll see on most all the maps are those red X borders that you can't walk across, and that's this right here. And so we can put some of those down. We will right click, and then you can put those as tight or as not tight as you want. Now I'm going to make them very untight here. So anyways, here we go. It's very loose, but it'll be good for our test map here. So every map needs a couple things so you don't crash the game, and that is you need an exit. All right, and actually, so we can see things here. Let's hide the floor. We need an exit. We need 4 spawn points for the players, agents. You need at least 1 of these computer desks. This will be used for hacking missions, right? And we'll stick it over here. you need at least one of these objective spawn points. This is for assassination, kidnap, or rescuing missions. And you can have multiple of both the hacking computer and the objective marker. And when a level is loaded, the game will select one of these at random for the mission. And the same with guards. Guards can be placed. You need at least one. And but the more probably the better, because how it works is if you have, let's say you tell the map to have 10 enemies, but you only have one spawn point, all 10 will spawn at the same location, and that'll look weird. So we'll put a few here. Now, we probably don't want them all facing this direction, so we can go edit, select one of them, and the number pad is used here for editing. So it would help if I had the number pad turned on there. All right, let's go back to guard. We'll talk more about that in a second. All right, so let's take him, and 4 on the numpad will rotate your in the different directions. So we can make them point whatever direction we want. All right, you'll notice when it says, when you click on them in the edit mode, it'll say tab to cycle. And so you have a couple of different modes for guards to be spawned in. You have guard, which basically they'll spawn, stay in one place unless they see or hear the enemy or the player. You have wander, and I should actually put, hold on, before we go through the different modes, let's put 2 things more down. We have patrol nodes, which are these red dots, and you have room nodes. All right. And room nodes, ideally, you should place one room node in every room, and that's kind of how the AI knows where rooms are. And then patrol nodes are used, as they sound, for creating patrol patterns. So going back to our guards, right? What Wander will do is they will randomly pick a group of room nodes and patrol nodes. And actually, hold on. When I say wander, they just, as time goes, they will move from one to the other. So they'll pick one of them at random, move to it, pick another one at random, move to that one, pick another one at random. Right? So they'll constantly be wandering around the map. Patrol, when they're at the beginning of the map, they'll create a list of patrol nodes, and they'll move from patrol node to patrol node. And once they get to the end of that, they'll restart the same patrol pattern. Guard, as we said, they just stand in place. Random will make them select between guard, patrol, and wander. And then this last one, talk, you're not going to use that because that's used for creating enemies that talk in cutscenes, and without access to the code, you're not going to be able to actually fully implement that. So just ignore talk. So we're going to be really kind of lame and just point these guys all at the door. So we can have like a Texas standoff here, I guess. All right. And let's make this a little bit more clear there. All right. And now something that's important to do is hit auto wallcast. And I don't want to get too deep into this, but how the map system works is you have physical walls, like what we see here, these guys here. And then you have these guys here. These are wallcasters. And the wallcasters are what the game uses to generate the vision cones. In order to optimize the game, the wallcasters are separate from the walls. And instead of you having to manually place the wallcasters, you hit auto wallcast. And then I can show you that there'll be auto wallcasters underneath the wall. So right now, if we move a wall, you'll see there's nothing underneath. We'll hit auto wallcaster. And now you'll see there's actually a wallcaster item underneath it. And to kind of give you an idea of how what the wallcasters do, I'm going to go here and delete this single wallcaster. And then I'm going to put a wall like that. And I'll show you what happens when you don't have wallcasters. So at this point, this map is actually, you have all the core elements needed for a map. So we're going to hit save, and we're going to hit add to game, right? So we'll look for this map and it's called tower. So add to game, exit, go quick play. Alright, so we'll scroll down and we will look for tower. There we go, tower, that's our map we just made. And we're going to actually set the mission type to none just for ease here. And we will go select team and start. Alright, you notice here, because I deleted the wall caster here, how his shadow, his vision cone just like cuts right through. Alright, so that's what happens. If you don't have wall casters, they'll just kind of like look, it'll appear like they're seeing through the walls. They're actually not. But visually, their vision cones appear to say that they are. So if you see that, just go back, load the map in the Mapmaker, hit the auto wall cast button, and you will be good to go. Alright, so here we go. We have a full map outside of that we can play here. I mean, not the most exciting map, but it is a map nonetheless. Right? So let's go back to the Mapmaker real quick. And let's load up that map. We'll have to change it back to tower. That was the name of our map. Load. Grid off. A couple other little features here. You can go fog off, right? And so that'll show you what the map sections that are within the vision cones. This is like with fog of war or outside your vision off. And this is the parts that are not within the player's vision cone. Grid lock, basically keep this on all the time. What this lets you do is when you have the grid on, it will now, people think items won't be locked to it. So if you move items in edit mode, you see they'll just kind of slide around. They won't be locked to the grid. This is basically never used. It is a feature. Maybe you guys can find uses for it, but generally speaking, keep this on and keep things locked to the grid. Now, let's turn that grid off again. Here you just have hide floor, hide wall casters, and hide wall. The most common one you're going to use is hide floor. So it's very useful for placing down these the patrol nodes, the room nodes, and those items. But other than that, that's all it does. When hide wall caster, right, those are all your wall casters, you can hide them. And then you can hide your walls. And those are basically just when you're trying to fine tune maybe the floors and stuff. That's what those can be used for. Wall cast, you basically not going to use that. Floor, you basically never use that either. I don't even actually remember what those are properly for. I believe you can. It's like an edit function that only lets you edit the floors, I think. Yeah, let me see. Yeah, it won't let you select walls. And now that you have auto wall cast, the wall cast version is pretty much useless. So at one point you had to manually do wall casters by hand, which was tedious. So that's pretty much it. Now you have all these other items that you can place. These are like decorations within the rooms that you can place. You want to put a bed there, a couch, so on and so forth. So I'll touch on these guys real quick. Rugs, I guess these fringes for floors, and a couple other things. If you want to make that, so let's say you want to make a little rug here. All right, we'll take this, make a small rug, and we'll make it with this pattern here. So that's just, let's get grid lock back on. Just like yay. And then we'll give it a white fringe. All right, and again, you're seeing we're using the right click here, and then just to drag, right click and drag there. Right, that way you can right click and drag, right click and drag. What else? You want to do windows? Just delete some of your walls. And then that's your window right there, and right click and drag. Yep. think that's about it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. These are cars that you can place down. They don't do a whole lot except sit around. All right. I will say on the cars. Um, you'll notice they kind of look fuzzy, the textures, when they're rotated. It's something I never really fixed. I was never super happy. They work best when they're at right angles. You can put them at angles, but I think they're best at the four cardinal directions. Yeah, so that's about it. One thing to look out for with floors is that if you overlap floors, you see how those are going to be overlapped there? You're not going to get a consistent, um, there's not a consistent way to ensure that you have, say, the orange on top of the red or vice versa. So what you're best off doing is actually, if you want the orange on top, move your red floors, carpet pieces around such that it's always like not overlapped. Avoid overlaps on floors because you cannot. It's based on when they're created, the order in which they're created, and that is not easy to control short of a lot of trial and error. So don't overlap floor tiles unless you just want it to be a random selection. I'll also point out a lot of these floors have variations of the floors, right? Which is most obvious, for example, with this floor pattern here, right? You'll see it all looks like that, but when you let go, right? So this floor tile here has 3 different styles: the white, the dot, and the circle. And those are selected at random. So just be aware of that, and that's intentional, but all the floors kind of have that to variations. Some of them not so obvious. You'll notice they all look the same when you let go and you see these actual subtle variations there. You can't it's a feature, not a bug. Be aware of it. Um, just FYI. And that's about it. All the floors are pretty much 2x2, with the exception of these little ones here, which are 1x1. All right, those are really useful for like putting under doors and stuff, door jambs. And then you have, let me see, cycle object. You got this one. At one point I was experimenting with larger floor tiles. I didn't like them. That's why that's the only one that still exists. And okay, actually, couple quick things I kind of forgot to mention. If you want to have a bit more space to work with, you can hit this guy here, and you'll just shrink that, minimize it. Gives you more workspace. I mentioned this is your center point, right? So if you're building your map, don't worry too much about where it is in relation to the center point, because you can always go here to adjust position, and then using the arrow keys, you can adjust where it's located on the map. So if you want to move it further higher up, lower down, and that'll just move everything at once. You will notice that like the shadows don't slide. At some point I may fix that. The easiest workaround is just go to edit, delete one of your walls, and that'll redraw all the shadows, and then you can always add that wall back in. All right, the other thing real quick, the editor will let you make maps that will crash the game, right? So the most obvious way are these objects here. Like you need to have an exit. The exit won't crash the game, but it will soft lock your levels. The only way to get out of the level will be to have all your agents get killed. But you do need to have, for these agent spawn points, you do need to have for missions and objective markers. And the hacking, you do need some of these room nodes or patrol nodes. You need at least one of each. And you need at least one guard. So if you leave any of these guys right here out, or you don't have 4 of the player spawn points, you will crash. That will not work. You will crash the game. So just be aware of that. Maybe at a later date I'll have a warning message that if you try and save a map without it, it'll prompt you. But for now it won't. So you can make maps that will crash the game. Also, on a quick aside, add to game, it's always pushed in. I gotta update that. And a couple quick pointers on rotation of objects. I showed rotation of the enemies. It's the same for everything else. So just edit mode, click on your item like this bed, number pad 4, right, and you can rotate your items. The only thing I'm going to say is do not rotate the doors. Right, the doors are in a vertical and a horizontal position. It will let you, I believe. Let me check actually. Will it let you rotate them? Yeah, it'll let you rotate them. All right, but you will get bizarre results from doing that. Things will not work as intended. So do not rotate the doors. Just build your doors in those two orientations and stick with the vertical and the horizontal, and you'll be good. That's about it. Have fun.